Hi campers, let's talk about the first thing that we want to do with this t-shirt to turn it into a hoodie. And the first thing we want to do is to lengthen the sleeves. So there's a couple of ways to do that. There's a way in the 3D window and there's a way in the 2D window. And I'm going to show them both to you, even though we're just going to use one. So over here in the 3D window, we're going to use the Edit Style Line tool. We talked about this a little bit before, but from the gravity button, you go down 1, 2, 3. Here's Edit Style Line. When you click on Edit Style Line, you get the handles over here in the 2D window. And if you click on the garment in the 3D window, you get the handles there. Now, what can we do with this? Well, we can grab this style line and we can drag it down. So you would like to think, oh, we can take the sleeve and we can just drag it to be longer. But if I click and drag, you see what happens is it's only dragging that top edge. And yes, it is doing a fairly nice job of creating a nice smooth curve here on the bottom. And there are some times where you'd want to make sleeves like this, and that would be the perfect tool for that. I can also go in here and I can grab this point and drag the point down. Yes, it's easier to do with the right perspective. There we go. I can drag that point down. And so now that's a little bit closer to what we want, but we're still kind of getting some wonky curves in here. So I'm going to undo that and show you a different tool. So I'm going to edit, undo a couple of times until we get back to the default settings. And there we are, default settings. Okay. Let me show you how to do this in the 2D window. So in the 3D window, you can do it. You're going to get nice curvy flowing lines, which in some cases is what you want. If your final project is going to end up being some kind of medieval fantasy piece, or maybe a coral robe where it's got those long drapey sleeves, then that is exactly the tool you want to use. In this case, though, we want nice straight edges on our sleeves because we're going to put cuffs on them. So I'm going to go over here in the 2D window, and in the 2D window, there are two tools I want to look at. Transform pattern is the first one up top, and edit pattern is the second one here. Okay, so 1, 2. I get these confused all the time. In my videos, you'll see me clicking back and forth on them. But transform pattern is generally things that would impact the entire pattern. So for example, if it's half symmetric, otherwise known as mirrored, if it's a mirrored pattern versus not a mirrored pattern, if you want to do things with the whole pattern piece, that's generally the first tool. The second tool, edit pattern, is usually when you want to edit pieces of the pattern. And in this case, that's what we want to do. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to make these sleeves longer. So I could grab a point here, but to make it easier on myself, I'm going to grab the bottom edge of the sleeve, and I can zoom in a little bit and show you this a little bit closer. All right, so I'm going to grab the bottom of the sleeve, and I'm going to drag it down just a little bit. And let go and give it a minute, and you see what happens. It makes the sleeve longer in the 3D window. Perfect. This is where I want to go. It's maintaining that nice straight line down on the bottom, but making the sleeves longer. That's what I want to do. You also might notice that it did both sleeves. And that's because these two patterns are mirrored copies of each other, the sleeves. What you do to one will automatically happen to the other. So let's do something, what a typical student would do. Click and drag down and say, I want about that long. Yay. Okay. First of all, you notice we made a big old mess in the 3D window. And even when we turn gravity on, yeah, it's still a mess. I just turned gravity off again. But you see the arm is sticking through the sleeve. That's a computer simulation error, and it's very, very common. If we want to avoid that sort of simulation error, then what we're going to do, I'm going to undo a couple of times. What we're going to do is lengthen the sleeve slowly in small bites. And each time we do a small lengthen, we're going to turn gravity on. So here I'm going to turn gravity on, and you see that sleeve adjusts itself nicely around the arm. I'll turn gravity off, and we'll come over here in the 2D window, and we'll lengthen it a little bit more. There we go, a little bit more. And gravity on, and there we go. Nice sleeve on the arm, and we'll do that one more time. There we go. Gravity on. There we go. Nice length of sleeves. Okay, so that's how we make our sleeves longer. in glow.